listen to me. Yesterday I left you with some question. Do you remember that? Now, will you respond to me? Yesterday I left you with some question to think about, and I even told you that read page 60. That will let you know the answer. Do you follow what I say?
Sir, I did not, as I told you. My network was
No, these guys keeping quiet is the answer to a question. Why don't you say, okay, you didn't read it, you didn't follow, you didn't, you just did not. Tell me, anyone. Abdul Rafi, can you hear me? Abdul Rafi, can you hear me? What is this? Abdullah Subhan. Abdullah Subhan. Walaikum
Yes, sir.
assalam. Boy, do you remember that I like at the end when we discussed partition reverse, and then I asked you a question, and question was that did reversal of the partition, which was 1911, did it have any effect on Muslim League policy? Did Muslim League change its policy, or did Muslim change their way, or what impact it had on Muslims and Muslim League? And I told you that read page 60 and you will have some answers from there. So did you do that? No? Say yes or no, boys.
No, sir.
So please say yes or no. Don't. Silence is no answer. If you think that you keep silent and I will get my questions answered, so you are wrong. Is it clear? Everyone, listen to me. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay, listen now.
Yes,
I
sir.
am still leaving you with this page 60. Page 60, and you're gonna answer my question. Is it clear? What
Yes, sir.
impact did reversal of the partition of Bengal had on Muslims and Muslim League? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
This I need you to read and go through and then think and answer the question. This again it goes with the impact of the World War I on the subcontinent. So this page 60 you have to do yourself. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I would start with page this next topic, main topic, which is the Lucknow Pact. What is it?
Lucknow Pact.
Lucknow Pact.
It was signed in 1916, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can any one of you read these first two paragraphs?
So can I?
Sir, can I read?
Can I read? Can I read?
No, it's mess. Then raise your hand. The one who will appear first, I will take him. Abdur Rahman. Okay.
Yes, sir. The Lucknow Pact, cooperation between the League and Congress. The failure of the British to grant more rights to the Indians in the period up to 1914 and their policy of repression during the war had moved Congress and the Muslim League closer together. In 1915, thanks partly to the to the persuasion of Muhammad Ali Jinnah R.A., a prominent
Rahmatullah alayh.
Rahmatullah Alami,
Rahmatullah alayh. RA stand for
okay,
Rahmatullah
Rahmatullah Alami.
alayh.
a prominent member of the league. The two of organizations both held their annual sessions in Bombay. At the same time, joint councils of Congress and the League were set up to improve common understanding between them on key issues. The British realized that they needed to take steps to ensure that they did not have serious political unrest in India at the same time as they were fighting a war against Germany and its allies. So in October 1916, they let it be known that they were considering a series of proposals which would lead to: number one, at least half of members of executive council being elected, the Legislative Council having a majority of elected members. Both Congress and the League supported these proposals. Their agreement also helped to draw the two parties close together. Although Congress and the League realized that if further concessions were to be gained, they had to develop greater cooperation between themselves. In 1916,
Okay,
they once
okay,
again.
thank you. And listen, thank you. Okay, all of you guys, listen to me. What we just read, it's a background to what we call the Lucknow Pact. So that's why I wanted to read only one or two sentences about this, that I can sum it up. That this you need to, because previous page you got to read, you didn't read it. 1914 to 1918. What this period referred to?
Lucknow Pact.
World War One.
Come on, yeah. This is all famous timeline. Anybody can recognize 14 to 18. What happened in the world? World War. It was
World
not any
World War
one. World War One. So this was a global issue, like a global thing happened. So this timeline stands out in any case. Anyways, 1914 to 1918, World War One, and World War One. Allied forces that's led by Britain were up against German forces, which were Central Forces. So the two groups, you might know more this thing, right? That this World War was between two groups of countries, one led by Britain and UK, UK, Britain, and US, etc. Other countries, France, Germany. With Germans were also Ottomans back then. At that point in time, they also backed them. So during this war, British needed the support of the Indians, and Indians supported them as well. So there was like two things developed during the course of war. One, that this is what British said to the Indians. This is what you see, that at least half of the member of executive council being elected, and the legislative council would also have majority of elected members. When it comes elected members, it comes that representation to the people, to the Indians, which mean from 1909 Morley Minto reforms, British now went a step ahead and giving Indian more share in running their country. Is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
as Britain were fighting the world war, they didn't want in India any serious political unrest, instability. So they, in order to appease them, they said this proposals. Now this incentive, like when British said that they are going to do this, it brought League and Congress closer. League, I mean Muslim League and Congress, So League and Congress closer. How? Because they believed that if they would be united, Indians like Muslim and Hindus, what they can achieve? They can achieve greater share in power. They can pressurize British more. If Muslim and Hindus will fight with each other, who will benefit from this? Tell me.
The British.
British.
The British,
British.
because Indians, division of Indians, disunity, as we already discussed, that the major reason for winning war for war of independence by the British was the Indian disunity. And if Indian would still continue the same way, British will benefit. So there was a growing realization on the part of League and Congress that they should cooperate with each other if they want to gain further concessions. Now, concessions here explain area in which they change their mind to please other. Like now, this is the meaning in the reference to the context that if further concession were to be gained, if Indians want British to change their mind, okay, so to give them more power in share, more share in power, so they should cooperate with each other. And one more thing here was that Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was then member of both the League and what else?
Congress.
Congress. So Qaid-e-Azam was member of both the League and Congress at this point in time. So in 1916, they once again held their annual session in the same city, Lucknow, largely as a result of the support of the two leaders, Jinnah Rahmatullah Alayh from the Muslim League and Mahajan from Congress. The Lucknow Pact was drawn up, means signed. It showed clearly that Congress was prepared to make concessions to please Muslims, to give them share, to gain support of the League. Congress agreed to. Now, what Congress agreed to, you can see that Muslim had a right to separate electorate in electing representative to imperial and provincial legislative council. This would even apply to Punjab, Bengal, where they did not yet exist. So, do you see this major concession by Congress? Did Congress support separate electorate before?
No, now the support.
No,
No, sir.
they look, Congress, listen to me, mute your mics, everyone. You guys need to keep track of these things. As I told you yesterday, when we traced relations between Muslim and British from one to another event, you need to also see if it is a separate electorate. So when was demanded, when was accepted, did Congress for the first time they opposed it or welcomed it? Now, if it in 16 we say that Congress Muslim had the right, Congress agreed to, which means before it did not. So, as far as separate electorate is concerned, when did Muslim demand for it?
In the Lucknow Pact.
Nah. Anyone else? When did Muslim demand separate electorate from the British for the first time?
To the War of Independence.
Yeah. Yeah, similar deputation. Come on, boys. Look, if you do not follow it up, if you do not do revise, read, underline, take notes, then you can't say anything. Now, when did Muslim League for the first time, Muslims for the first time ask for a separate electorate?
Similar deputation.
Similar deputation. When did British officially accepted it?
Lucknow Pact.
Ya Allah, Lucknow Pact was signed between Hindus and Muslims. It was not any law. It was just an agreement between Hindus and Muslims. And Congress accepted this. More lamento, yesterday we discussed MMR. Look, what is going on? Hmm?
More
Muslim representative to the council were elected by a separate Muslim only electorate, accepted by which is like officially made a law by the British in 1909 in parliamentary form. Now I'll take you back and I'll tell you when did Muslim demand. Muslim went this similar deputation here and here. In the council, the Muslims should have higher. No, first one. In all local and provincial election, Muslims should have their own representative who would be elected only by the Muslim voters. We discussed the separate electorate. So this is for the first time when Muslims asked from the British. That was similar deputation. He agreed, but It became a law, implemented in 1909. Congress opposed it. You remember this thing. Only one thing you remember in reference to this. And now Congress agreed to. Now, is it clear how to keep the record of one development in different events?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Although, okay, now the second demand, although they represented only 1/4 of the population, Muslims should be given 1/3 of the seats in the councils. Now, this was also the same demand what Muslims asked to the viceroy. We are a minority, we are less in number, per do not estimate us as per our minor numbers, but see, we are important community. Do you remember this thing?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All of you participate, please.
Yes, sir.
Then next day you will not remember okay. So this was like that we need more seats than our population. Now it says that they represented 1/4 of population or even less than 1/4 of population, which means 25% or less. Hindus agreed. Now Congress agreed that they should have 1/3 of seats, which is 33%. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Come on, I
Yes,
can't
sir.
see any energy there. I can't see like we
Yes,
have
sir.
got this. Did you
Yes,
understand
sir.
this
We have
point?
got this.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so now look, Congress and Muslim League, Hindu and Muslims, and this Lucknow Pact was basically the high watermark of Hindu-Muslim unity, the peak of Hindu-Muslim. You can see by accepting these rights, these were the differences between Hindus and Muslim. And when Congress accepted this, it meant that now there is no difference between the Indians, no Muslim, no Hindu, they were all Indians by accepting these things. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And third point is also very important. No act. Act mean
Law.
act mean
Law.
law. Please. Yeah, law. No law affecting a community should be passed unless 3/4 of that community's member on the council support it. Now, this is very important. Now, please be attentive and listen to me. You can understand it in one go. Usually, in any assembly, when you get a law passed, what is the procedure? That you present a law, members discuss, they debate, voting is held. If majority supports, it becomes a law. What I mean by majority, 50% and more, it becomes a law. Is this point clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, in India, the situation was complex. And how was complex? That Hindus were more than 50% on all councils, right?
Yes, sir.
And they could pass any law. Then what was the use of even if you are 25% or 33%? Because you can pass a law with majority, which is 50% or 51%. So you can pass a law. So if even other community is sitting with 25-30%, does it make any difference? No
No,
difference,
sir.
right? No. Now see here. This point, now you will understand that this point says that no law affecting a community should be passed unless 3/4 of that community's member support it. Now you take a vote, but when you count a vote, if it is a law about Muslims, then you will see those 33% of Muslims voter. How do they act? Do they support it? Do they oppose it? If they support it, pass it. If they oppose it, no. Even the rest of the whole assembly support it. But if law is about Muslim, then the Muslims' vote will be counted. Muslim members' vote will be counted on that council. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
This was further strengthening the rights of minorities. that minorities on any council, even less in numbers, could protect their rights, because if anything is about them, then their votes would be counted, not the rest of the assembly's vote. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, what do you think of Lucknow Pact? That wasn't this the highest watermark of Hindu-Muslim unity? Wasn't this the highest point of Hindu-Muslim unity?
Yes, sir.
Sir, it
Yes,
was.
it was. It was. So now we discussed Lucknow Pact, which was signed between Congress and the League in 1916, where in Lucknow, where they held their annual session together, and Congress went far to support uh, the cause of the
Sir,
Muslims. Hmm?
sir, Lucknow
Mhm.
itself is it a Muslim majority population or a
Yeah,
Hindu majority?
In Lucknow, mainly it's a Muslim majority, and they're back in the times, and there was like Lucknow represent a great Muslim culture and Urdu language and all that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so boys, now that Congress agreed to these, and Muslim League and Congress literally had no differences, because these were the differences and they met it, and Congress went all out to accept these things. So all done. And why did this happen? You know, it happened in the background of World War One. Indian realized, Muslim and Hindus realized that look, by being together, we can actually pressurize British for more concessions, for more rights. So this was done. This is what we say a great success between the relationship of these two communities. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now
Yes,
I
sir.
want now I want anyone else to continue reading the next passage. Okay, Abdur Rafi. These were major concession. I've explained, but I want you to go through it quickly. Yes.
Okay, sir. These were major concessions by Congress, and they showed how keen it was to gain the support of the League. Congress leaders had subjected strongly to the principle of separate electorates being included in the parliamentary reforms, and this was the first time they had moved away from their belief that India was one indivisible nation. The pact also included a set of common demands to the British as to how India should be governed. It said that the number of electorate seats on the council should be increased. Motions which were passed by large majorities in the council should be accepted as bind, binding by the British
Binding.
government. Binding by the British government. Min- Minorities in the provinces should be protected.
Mm-hmm.
All provinces should have autonomy.
Okay, thank you. Boys, other than that, what Congress and League agreed with each other, and Congress gave concession to the Muslim, these were their joint proposals for the British. Elected members should be increased on the council. I know you have understood these all very simple. Elected member on the council to be increased. As you remember that Congress criticized parliamentary reforms because the role of the Indians on the council was just advisory. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Hello, hello. Are you there,
Yes, sir.
guys? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
So, okay, okay, good. Do you remember that Congress criticized, or otherwise, do you remember that the role of the Indians on the council, elected members on the council, according to the Council Act, the Indian Council Act 1909, or parliamentary reforms, was just advisory? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it was advisory that they could debate, discuss, but they could not change. Here now, Indian wanted that if any of the motion, if any of the motion mean a law or any policy which is passed by any council with majorities, it should be a binding on the British, no just advisory that you can debate, discuss, and go home. We'll do whatever we want to. They said no, if a council pass something with 60, 70, 80% majority, then you should accept it. Minorities in provinces to be protected. All provinces should have autonomy, mean complete control. So provincial autonomy it is called. So these were demands for the British. uh, from the Indians. Now I'm not saying the League and the Congress, because they both agreed to these, and these were joint proposals. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, the importance of the Lucknow Pact is very simple. All of these points which we have discussed will be kind of repeating that this was very highest point of Hindu-Muslim unity. It represented Indian as one, and it was like kind of moving towards uh, self-government, because if you fulfill all of these demands, so it was like giving Indian real power. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The Lucknow Pact was a significant movement in the movement towards self-rule. Self-rule mean
Ru- Ruling themselves.
no. Self-rule mean anyone else? Please hurry up. Rule of the Indians. It was India, it was Indian country. Native have the right to rule, right? That's called self-rule. Rule of the people. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Which mean another way of saying another way of saying independence. Moving towards independence, freedom, self-rule. It's all one. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now I want someone else to read this passage. Is there anyone? Okay, Zain, you did it first. Hurry up.
Importance of Lucknow Pact. The Lucknow Pact was a significant moment of the movement towards self-rule. It was the first time that the Hindus and Muslims had made a joint demand for political reform to the British. Jinnah Rahmatullah alayh said that the pact had come about because cooperation
Cooperation. Cooperation.
cooperation in the case
In the cause of our
cooperation
motherland.
in the case of our motherland should be our guiding principle. India, India's real progress can
Okay,
only be
okay.
achieved.
Look. Okay, listen, I'll do it because we are short of time now. So I want just to quickly go through and finish this topic because we have done the major thing. Boys, this point refers to Qaida's Muhammad Ali statement is very important. You can see that our cause, what is our cause? Our cause is motherland, our motherland. We need to get independence, and we are doing this cooperation for this thing. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And he said that these are two great sister communities, Muslim and Hindus. By being one, they can be united, they can cooperate for their motherland, for the cause of independence. So this was one. Second, it marked the first acceptance by the Hindus that the degree of partition would be necessary if any self-government in India. Yeah, this is important to understand, this point. It marked the first acceptance by the Hindus that a degree of partition would be necessary in any self-governing India. When India will get independence, so Lucknow Pact indicated that Hindus in principle, agreed that Muslim will have their own self-rule. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it showed that Muslim acknowledged that they stood much more chance to protecting their right if they work with Congress against the British. Now this is the change I told you. Muslim League realized here that by relying on British, they have less chance than that they cooperate with the Hindus. And if Hindu accepted these things, so they can protect their right by working with Congress more properly than working with the Hindu British. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
It led to a growing belief in India that home rule, self rule was a real possibility. The Indian believed that home rule was the first, it is possible. During 1970, two home rule league campaign across India. One was led by Tilak and the other was by an English woman called Anne Besant. Now, these were two new parties, you can say, and these two home rule leagues. One, Tilak, was a fiery critic of British nationalist leader, and this was also an English, but she settled in India and representing the cause of the Indian. She was imprisoned by the British in June 1917, but she was released in August after a great public outcry, protest. She was then elected Congress president. In the same month, E.S. Montague, the Under Secretary of the State of India, announced in the British House of Commons, their National Assembly, that the British policy was an increasing association of Indian in every branch of administration, that we are going to give Indian a greater share in power in every administration branch until India was ready to govern itself as a part of British Empire. Now, this means that the Under Secretary of State for India, this E.S. Montag, he said that we are ready to give Indian a greater share in every branch of government, and we will work with them until they are ready to rule themselves. The pact marked the high watermark of Hindu-Muslim unity. It was to be short-lived, however, as a consequence of Amritsar massacre. We'll see this later on. So you can till this that it was the highest watermark of this. So to just sum it up, Hindu-Muslim unity, high watermark of Hindu-Muslim unity, highest point, that self-rule, independence was a real possibility. And then you can give the detail of this. The Muslim realized that working Congress with Congress is better than relying on relying on British. Also, that Hindus agreed with this Lucknow Pact, mean that they agreed a self rule for the Muslims as well, and this is that we are together with our common cause, and that is the freedom of our motherland. This was the significance of Lucknow Pact, very important development in India. So that what we discussed. We are done with the time as well. We will continue with this. Please read, take notes, underline. This is very important. Is it clear?
Yes,
So can I
sir.
ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please, Arya.
So did this unity broke afterwards?
Yeah, I just want to have live with this unity. Before that, we discussed that it was like when did it end and how did it end, because that we will discuss. But till now, you should just see the importance of this and how important it was. Yes, it was short lived afterwards. That's why we partitioned and all that stuff happened. We'll discuss that in the course of our discussion. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Okay, boys, in the next class, we will discuss some question answer, and I will give you, please do check your history, under history channel, your homework and the question you are supposed to do in the next class. I will discuss with you questions and their answers only
Sir,
up till, yes.
so you're uploading the questions in content library?
I will upload in history channel under your name a page with questions indicating homework from year 1906 to 1911.
So yesterday I checked,
Oh,
there was no homework.
I'm
Yes, sir.
going to do it now. I'm going to do it now. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Okay, Allah Hafiz, everyone. Take care. See you.
Yes, sir.
Allah Hafiz,
Allah
sir.
See
Hafiz,
you.
sir.
Allah Hafiz, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Allah Hafiz.